Welcome everyone, and May the 4th be with you. This year check-in for summer camp is going to be a little different from years past for several reasons, not least of which is our revamped admin interface that is now almost entirely mobile. We've also launched a new and improved events section on the admin manual that has updated instructions and screen captures on how to manage events in Tentaroo. Please bookmark this and refer to it as you are working with your camps. That URL is admin.tentaroo.com, and then you can navigate to the events section. All of this is new menus, new sections, new screen captures. We rewrote the entire thing. There are a few pages that I want to point out to you real quick, and the first is tentaroo.com/events. The events, and this is just the landing page for events. This has a brief explanation of our events module and then links to everything you need to know about events. So this is a great place to start when you come out to look for things. The next thing is the working with summer camp page of our website. And this is going to be directly related to the content included in today's webinar. We are recording, as you know. We're going to post that recording to this page at the bottom. And then each of these sections will have timestamps so you can jump to that direct spot very quickly in the video. So this page is permanently included on our admin manual. You can get to it from the home page. On Enrique, where did we slide this? I think we have it down here in one of our where did we hide this?
The sitemap?
No, this is the summer camp.
Oh, I'm sorry, that will be turned on a couple minutes after the webinar here.
Got it. Okay, well, we will include this accessibly from our admin manual after the webinar. And then we have, as Enrique mentioned, a sitemap. We have built a sitemap that you can access to here. And this will have, this does have links to all of the pages in each of the sections. So if you're having a hard time finding something, you can come to the sitemap and find it this way. And then, of course, our admin manual is searchable. Our goals for the webinar today are to go through the steps of what to do ahead of camp to get ready for everyone, what to do for pre-camp check-in, which we recommend setting up this year, and then what to do at physical check-in. The things you'll need to do in Tentaroo while your units are in camp, and what to do for your checkout packets. And then after camp is wrapped up, what to do afterward to bring everything together and promote next year. As we go along, if you have specific questions about your council's setup, please schedule training time with me so we can review your needs. General questions about Tentaroo processes for summer camp can be submitted via the Zoom chat and will be addressed at the end. Let's get logged into the Great Sky Country, and I will bring up the Scouts BSA summer camp event type. First, what should you do ahead of camp to plan ahead and prepare? First, build the framework for your 2022 weeks. You don't need to have many details worked out. Pricing doesn't need to be set yet. All you really need to know are the weeks. Set your dates for the weeks, set your dates for when registration opens, and then start collecting reservations. And then our system will help you update your pricing when you do have that detail later on. The next, which is currently done in the Tentaroo Legacy Air app, but will soon be brought over into the main browser app, is to set up your camp staff admin accounts with the permissions that each account needs. I will tell you that not all of the steps that I'm going to go through today can or should be accessible to all camp staff. You please schedule training with me if you'd like assistance and guidance on setting up your admin accounts for camp staff. The next thing you'll do is assign campsites. I will point out where that is done in the new interface later on. And then you'll want to do your communication with your units. First, you'll want to generate invoices. That is done from the dashboard of any event. You'll need to do this once for every event. In the tools box, you have the generate invoices button. This tool allows you to send to all registered groups or specific groups. You can bill the entire remaining balance or a specific amount to bill per youth. At this stage, you'll probably bill the entire remaining balance. And then if you want to include all registrations, even those who have paid in full, you'll want to click on Include Registrations with No Balance Due, and then everyone gets an updated invoice. Select a due date for final payments, and then enter in your invoice notes to explain anything they need to know, such as please confirm all of your spots and all of your class fees and pay any final balances due before you come to camp. And that will be a part of the pre-camp check-in that I'm going to talk about next. From this tool, you can either export the PDFs of all of these invoices so you can review all of the data or print it yourself. And then you can click Send to Clients to send this information out instantly to all of the account, primary and alternate contacts, and unit event type specific contacts. The next thing you'll do is jump over to the message center, and our message center can be used to send messages to all of your units for camp. And we have some suggestions of what you might include in a message, a pre-camp check-in message for your groups. First, you'll want to announce your 2022 weeks and give instructions for saving their spot, especially if it can be done once they arrive at camp. If you are running COVID precautions this year, that's a good thing to include in your pre-camp messages. And then other just quick ideas spitting out there, check-in procedures, packing lists, parking instructions, camper and visitor policies such as, are you holding family night this year? What do your families need to know before they arrive? Any fees that might be due at camp, your trading post schedule, and then your waitlist procedures, especially how you want your units to rearrange schedules before online registration closes so you don't have to worry about waitlisted classes once they arrive at camp. We'll talk a little bit more about waitlists here in a little bit. The next thing is to do your pre-camp check-in. And this you'll want to contact your groups a week or more ahead of your event to confirm the registration details. And this gets them, once they arrive at camp, they can do one last quick check and then get out having fun instead of spending a lot of time hanging out at the office, confirming all these details, especially if you're trying to maintain social distancing still. Now, this is something that you don't have to just do during COVID. This can be done any year. Northeast Georgia is actually our poster child for this. They're the ones that inspired us to include this in our summer camp check-in webinar because they've been doing this for years. And this helps get everything confirmed and finalized before units come to camp. And there's only a few changes that need to happen once they arrive. And then it gets everybody out having fun, setting up camp, getting ready for the week much sooner. So there are several reports that you'll want to draw for pre-camp check-in. First, I want to mention that all of these reports can be found from the event dashboard under the reports section. And you'll select one of these and then click down to generate to draw them. And now I have a brief list of the reports that we suggest. First, you'll want to confirm numbers and balances due, and that is done through the groups reports. The groups check-in PDF is a list of all of the invoices with a page break in between groups. This is the same as that generate invoices option I showed you before, except there you can add more notes in the in the report itself and include balances due and all of that. So actually, if you are sending this information to your groups ahead of time to confirm, I'd recommend doing the generate invoices option, and then that automatically emails them out with your balance due with your notes. But you can also download a PDF version of that to print out for camp or for emailing in a different way. Maybe you want to send it to more than just the group contacts and the event contacts. And then you also have an Excel version of that that you can take to do mail merges or change the data in such a way that you want to send something out more custom. The next the next reports are the participant rosters. We again have PDF and Excel versions of that. This is great to confirm names. Your PDF or your invoices won't include all the names of your participants. The participant roster will. So you can generate that, send that information to your groups to confirm names ahead of time. Your participant class schedules reports, we recommend by group or by participant PDF for them. This is where they can confirm classes. You can also identify any waitlisted classes here. The participant class schedule by class Excel report will download and give you one row per class registration, and it includes attendance and requirements completed. So that's more for the after this, but this version of the export is great for doing mail merges. So you can generate lanyards or wristbands or other reports that you can use for identification purposes for your scouts while they're in camp. The next report on my list is the product orders report. You can confirm orders with the group and then use this information to fill your boxes or bags for check-in. The group invoice shows products purchased for the group, which you can now include in this as a packing slip. You can also use the product orders export to generate your own custom packing slip if you want to do it that way instead of doing the whole invoice. T-shirt sizes totals includes the total number of shirts of each size for each group if this is included in the participant information that you're gathering. If you're selling t-shirts through products, those are not included in the t-shirt sizes totals report. This is just if you're asking for that information in the registration data. Use this report to fill your boxes or bags with the pre-ordered shirts, and you might also include a summary of the group sizes from this report as a packing slip here. So if you're doing products and shirts, you might have two separate packing slips, or you can merge those. Those reports are the ones that I would recommend for pre-camp check-in, and then you'll need basically the same set plus a few more for at-camp check-in. We recommend that you close registration changes to your end users 5 to 7 days before the event, and then run a fresh batch of reports after all the changes are in and build your check-in packets. All of our reports are printed in the same order for easy collating. And so going real quick through this for your at-camp check-in, we recommend the groups check-in PDF, the participant roster PDF, the participant class schedules, either by group or by participant or both, PDF. Instructor class rosters down here, and this is also a PDF. Are you sensing a theme? PDFs are great because they're formatted for each group and they're easy to print off and include. And then last, your campsite assignments report for your rangers and camp staff to drop tents and platforms and anything else you need to set up each group and get them all placed in their appropriate campsites. All right, skipping back to our event in the reports, one of the things you want to do before getting everybody moving on is do a final check of waitlists. If you have anyone remaining in a waitlist, you'll want to move them to available classes. To check the waitlist, you'll want to run the participant class schedules by class. There it is. And this report, wherever it decides to open up, here you go, that was the one from this morning. This report, I'll make it a little bit bigger for those in the back, will show you how many spots and which participants are in a waitlist for any of your classes. So I am looking for, here it is, spot number on waitlist, and I'm going to use the Excel filter option to eliminate blanks. And this will show me any participants that have a spot in a waiting list. And now I'm going to go back to the beginning of this report to get a name. And so I see I'm going to use Oliver Bascom today to demonstrate clearing the wait list. And that will also get me a group to demonstrate some of the other modifications that we can do for at Camp Checkin. Okay, so now we're going to look at what we can do with the groups. I'm going to use the select client modal to bring up a group. This is accessible either through the blue bar at the top of the desktop or laptop version of the app, or from the hamburger menu that looks like 3 stacked lines. And there's the select client button as well. This brings up a list of all of the accounts first, and then you have sections for registrations and participants. The registrations section will allow you to look up specific groups for a specific event type. So I'm going to look at Scouts BSA Summer Camp, and then I can even select further into a specific week of summer camp. This gives you a quick summary of their head counts, their total amount for the registration, and a balance due. Similarly, for participants, you select the event type, and then you get a full list of all of the registrations. Clicking on any of these participants will open that registration in the group, and both of these sections are searchable. Where you see the magnifying glass in our system, that list is now searchable. So I'm going to look for Bascom, and there he is in Troop 55501. And now here is the participant registration, and we can see that he's waitlisted for first aid. Once you have a group or participant registration brought up, you can make several changes here for camp. The ones that I'm going to show you are changing out the waitlisted classes, swapping scouts, and keeping their original spots in classes so the group keeps the spots even if they're swapping scouts at the last minute. You can add unscheduled classes, and I'll explain when you might want to do that in just a moment. Apply your partial leader adjustments, adjust spots for the group, apply payments, and then download group reports. First, let's clear the waitlist for Oliver Bascom. So you can see here that these are the classes that he has signed up for. I'm going to manage and edit his registration. I'm clicking next to get to the classes step, and then here's first aid where he's on the waiting list. When I remove first aid from his schedule, that now opens up everything else in that time block that he can take instead. I'm going to sign him up for athletics. That gets added to his schedule, and we're shown the spot that he is in the new class because that one was available. And you can see each of these that has a limit will show which spot he is in that class. So I'm going to finish this wizard and add the changes to the cart. And then the next step is swapping a scout for another scout to maintain those spots in classes. I'm going to use, where is he? Bascom. There he is, Oliver Bascom again. And in this case, Oliver decided not to come to camp, and instead someone else is taking his place. The first thing that I want to do is download his schedule so I can see which classes he is attending. And this is going to show me the things that are final. So for the change that I made to first aid is still in the cart. So his spot in first aid on the wait list is still the finalized option. And then there's the rest of his class schedule. Now I'm going to click manage and cancel his registration, add that to the cart. And now I'm going to add a different scout in his place. So Alexis Barber is now going to take Oliver's spot in the classes. The first thing is to confirm any information that is required, and then select a participant type if you have options for that, and then go to classes. So I don't want to put Alexis in first aid because I know that first aid is waitlisted. So I'm going to do the athletics option instead because there's spots available there. And then I can refer back to this. We're in archaeology and computers. And then we're in photography, chess, and wilderness survival. As Alexis is going into each of these classes, he is going to get the exact same spots in the class, even if those classes are on a wait list. Because the group had these as finalized, those are staying in the group until you check out, which releases the spots. So by putting another scout in the exact same classes before checking out, this group keeps all of those spots. The next thing I'm going to show you is adding an unscheduled class. Unscheduled classes are useful when you want to put someone in a class when the class is full, the wait list has people on it, but you have a scout that needs to get into something because he is about ready to age out and needs to get that last Eagle required merit badge in. Or he or she has arrived at camp and has a few requirements left on a merit badge, and they finish up their other classes in time and they have some more time to work on it, they can find a counselor among the camp staff, work on those last few requirements and get that one completed. And that can be added as an unscheduled class. So I'll show you how to do that. Again, we'll work with Alexis, manage, and edit. Go to the classes step. And then this add unscheduled options button is only available to admins. This is not available to your users. This list is all of the class types that you have available in your system, and you can use the magnifying glass to search. So this scout is going to finish up communication merit badge. We are going to add that to his schedule. This will not conflict with anything else that you have scheduled because it's not assigned to time blocks and it's not assigned to days of the week. It's just an unscheduled class. Oh, and you can use the manage button on that unscheduled class to say there is a $5 fee for taking this extra class because we have to devote more resources to it. The next thing is applying a partial leader adjustment. If you are prorating adult fees for being in camp only a few days of the event, you can apply that to that participant. So we don't have any adults in this account yet. So I am going to select Justice is going to register today. And I am going to assign the part-time adult option to that registration. When your part-time or adult options are set up, you enter in a negative amount so that it adjusts the registration fee down. You can also override that negative amount and give them more or less of a discount. Okay, we're going to add that change to the cart as well. Now I am piling a bunch of changes in the cart at one time. You can check out after each set of changes to finalize each thing and make sure that that sticks for that scout or that group. We definitely recommend that your users do that when they're signing up for merit badges, is sign up 1 or 2 scouts and check out, sign up another 1 or 2 scouts and check out to cement those spots. And then as you are making changes, if you're concerned about those kinds of spot limitations, you can check out more frequently. I'm going to check out once when we make our final payment though. Okay, so For this group, I have 25 spots registered, but only 10 scouts named. In this case, for my scenario, I'm going to say when they arrive at camp or as they're planning on coming, they're really only bringing 10 scouts. So I can launch the numbers wizard, manage spots, and reduce the total number of youth that they are bringing. I can also add, let's say they're bringing one more adult. I could add another spot here as well. And then if you need to enter in event contact information for the group to get the emails, you can have them do that here. This wizard also includes, if you're doing it, any group options, products, campsites. Actually, that's the next campsite step. This is where you'll assign campsites. So if you haven't done so yet, you do that in the numbers wizard for each group. You can select your available campsites from the dropdown, and then you can also assign a group to multiple campsites if you need to split that out. It'll give you a running total at the bottom of how many people are added to each campsite, so you can make sure that the numbers match. If you accidentally hit the wrong digit, it's not going to let you go on if you have more people than available. Okay, so I'm going to let that actually adds credit to the account. So I'm going to go back because I don't want to do that right now. I want to show you how to accept a payment. So I'm going to go back and bump this back up to 15 scouts. I always assign to Clearwater. Let me do East Lake this time. Okay, so now we're going to make a payment. At this step or at the registration summary step, I can say how much we're going to pay. This group is going to pay the full amount. If you want to pay a smaller amount and it's available, you can use pay other amount and enter a new amount. I'm going to go ahead and just stick with paying the full. When you check out, you'll be able to confirm any contact information for the group, decide whether or not you want to send a receipt, and then select the payment type. If they have paid you by check or you run a credit card through the front desk point of sale, you'll want to select at council other to post the payment. Don't run the credit card if you've already run it somewhere else or you'll be double charging the units. Add notes. Who accepted the payment? What was the payment method? Where was the payment received? Any other details that will work for either notes for your future self or notes for the rest of your team. So if you're taking the payment at camp and you are not the council accountant or registrar, make notes that the council accountant or registrar will understand. That will prevent a lot of miscommunication and confusion about why was this payment applied in this way. Please add notes. Tell your camp staff to add notes. Everyone needs to add notes when you're entering any payments in for the group. Once you have your details entered, you'll click place order, and that will send a receipt. If you said to send a receipt, that will say what was paid for in this account, in this registration, and your notes will appear on that receipt as well. Now I'm going to go back into the week 6 registration now because the next thing is to look at the reports that are available to the group. This is helpful if you want to generate a new invoice or class schedule because you've made changes. So on the registration summary page, you have a button for reports. The first one is your invoice. That will demonstrate to the group what payments have been received, what discounts have been applied, and all of the classes and products and such that have fees. Here's the payment history for this group. So everything is now paid in full. There is no balance and there's no credit on file. If there's credit on file, it appears here at the bottom. For more information about credit on file and how to handle credits, please schedule training with me and we will talk through that. And then you also have your participant roster, your class schedules, a lot of the things that we already talked about. I'll come back and talk about these in a little bit, because there's some other useful reports that your users will want to have. Now I'm going to pause for a second and look right at the camera because I want to tell you something very important. When you get to summer camp and it's Sunday and everybody's checking in, if there is something going on that you don't understand how it happened, you're not sure why it looks the way it does, please don't force anything through, especially money, if you're not entirely certain what's going on. Please send us an email to support@tentaroo.com. That's support@tentaroo.com. We don't work on Sundays, but we do work on Mondays. One of us will reach out to you first thing on Monday to help you figure out what's going on so that your accounting and your records tracking is clean and accurate from the beginning. If your volunteers are concerned about that kind of a delay, let them know that Tentaroo's on top of things. We will help you out when it comes time for that. Okay, everybody's checked in. Distribute your boxes and bags of swag with your products, shirts, wristbands, lanyards, etc., and go have fun. Now, your units are in camp. There are some record keeping processes that you can do while they are there. I'm going to use my little shortcut button to go back to the event. And one of the first things you'll want to do is you haven't distributed all of your instructor class rosters to your merit badge counselors. I'll generate that one so we can have a look at how those look. And these have all of your participants. I asked for some extra spots, so it will allow the extra spots to be available for walk-ins. You have all of your requirements for this merit badge. If you've added your instructor, that name will appear here on the list. And then you can print these, hand them out to your instructors, and they can use check marks to indicate which requirements were done. As they are tracking every day, I highly recommend that they go in and enter the requirements completed into the system. We have a button for that from the dashboard. There's also a button on each class under the classes section. Wherever you click on it, it brings up the same card. You have a spot for your instructor name and initials here. That will be used for blue cards and reports, other reports. And then you have a mass update box. This is so nice because you can go into these and enter the requirements completed very quickly. Everybody came on Monday. Everybody completed the first 4 requirements. Then as you look through your list of participants, you'll see that they are all granted attendance on Monday and they have the first 4 requirements all entered. You can also say that Brian didn't come and then he won't be updated during the mass update options. And then when you're all, when you have saved this information, then your groups, as I mentioned, will be able to download updated records. I'm going back to week 6 for my group here. And in the reports list, I have a requirements completed PDF in Excel. I'm going to download the Excel version. And bring this over here. And there is a column for requirements completed over here. Here it is. So here are all of the participants that were in first aid, and they have all completed those requirements. It will also appear this way on your blue card reports and on the PDF reports once the event begins. And I see a question that came up already that I am going to just answer right now because hallelujah, yes, you can do this on a tablet and you can do this on a smartphone. The enter requirements completed is now part of our new mobile interface, and you can do this from any mobile device that has internet. And we are really excited to bring that to you this year. I think that this is going to be a great year for entering requirements completed because you can have your counselors bring in their phones or their tablets, or you can provide them if you have that in your budget. They can enter the requirements completed every day, and then your Scoutmasters can also check these requirements completed from their phones. So you don't have to have a Scoutmasters lounge where you have close quarters this year is not necessarily a good thing. So they can be sitting back in their campsites as long as they can get to the internet. They can check requirements completed, or they can sit at the picnic tables outside of your council office if you have Wi-Fi available and look things up that way instead of being elbow to elbow in a Scoutmaster's lounge. Okay, so that's entering requirements completed. Next, you can add, again, unscheduled classes. I'm going to jump back to week 6. Actually, that would be in the group. But same as I showed you before, you can add unscheduled classes. Those will be displayed as part of your class list. And then you can, in fact, let's see, I think communication is going to be at the bottom. Here it is. Here's my unscheduled class. That also has an update requirements completed box. So they can still get the same reports. They can get an instructor class roster for this. They can get a blue card for this. When you are looking at the enter requirements completed from the dashboard tools box, the only difference here is that you're given a list of classes here. This list is also searchable. And then when you load the card, it's going to be the exact same card as before. Oops. There's first aid. So everything that I added on the other side is already here. This also is searchable, so you can find a specific class very quickly. And then you have the add all and clear all buttons that we had in the other interface that you have here. Okay. The next thing, as you're going through your week and you have leaders meetings, encourage 2022 commitments. You've built your weeks for next year. Your units at camp get first dibs because they came to your camp. They get picked next year so they can get their foot in the door before you open it to everyone. Here's your leaders meeting. Come on over to this computer and we'll get you signed up for next year. You can pay your deposit and anything else that you need. Once your camp starts to wrap up, you'll want to have your checkout packets ready. We recommend printing these as soon as you possibly can in case you have slow internet or a slow printer. You'll be able to get that in for them. And some of the checkout packet stuff is your final invoices that it'll show if they have credit on file, it'll show if there's a balance still, somehow they haven't paid you yet for this year, if something's disputed, it'll give them their final list of all of their fees. So the groups the group's PDF export is actually better, I think, than the groups just with credit, because that's with all of the groups. So I have changed that since I put this together. But any credits that you have on file, you'll want to make sure that you are either refunding those, applying convenience fees to absorb them into the council budget, or flagging them. If you don't do those at camp, you do those at the council office. You want to put in notes and flag those for your council staff to handle. You'll also print your blue cards and or requirements completed reports for each unit to include in their checkout packets. And that you can do if you are having your counselors enter requirements completed as they go, so you don't have a lot of empty data out there. And then there's the final groups check-in PDF report that I already mentioned. And then the last chance to have first dibs on 2022 as they're checking out for camp. Yep, that was it. And then once your camp is all wrapped up, you'll want to open 2022 registrations for all of your units, and then use our message center to send out a thank you letter with instructions on pulling reports from the group account, because your users can still go back and pull the merit badge completion report long after the camp is over. And we have some great instructions on how to do that at users.tentaroo.com. That's users.tentaroo.com. This website is one that we have available to you to share with your units if you aren't already. And this has a section on managing your account, registering for events, and then if you do our year-round facilities reservations, we have a section on that as well. And this has, from the home screen or the sidebar menu that I just saw and skipped right past, a section on Blue Card reports. And this has all the steps for downloading Blue Cards from home so your users can get exactly what they need. And Michelle just dropped a link to our user manual in the chat, so you have that there. And then a little while after your camp is wrapped up and you've sent thank you letters, you can send a marketing email through the message center to all of your groups who have registered now or in the past. Let's go to the message center. You can send these messages to any groups that have come, even if it's from past years, and you can promote your next year program. So you can say, please come back to 2022. We're going to have a great year. Here's kind of our idea of what's going on. Here's some of the other events this year that we're opening up to all units. Hope to see you then. In this webinar, we have covered what to do ahead of camp, what to do at pre-camp check-in and physical check-in, what to do in Tentaroo while your units are in camp, what to do to get ready for your checkout and make it a successful and wrap up of your summer camp weeks, and then what to do after camp to clean everything up and invite units back for next year.